Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu 5. This is going to be kind of a new type of video for, now I guess. And that's going to be a 10 type video, or 10 subject video, or 10 topic video. I'm going to talk about 10 different topics. Some of them are related to me, some of them are not related to me. Um, some of them are going to be questions, some of them is just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking at the moment. And I'm going to try to do it in a relatively short amount of time. First off is CCW, CHL, license to carry, whatever you want to call it. This is my normal carry. As you can see, it's unloaded. This is a Smith & Wesson 686 357 Magnum. It's the gun that I'm most accurate with, and it's also the hardest gun that I own to carry. And in fact, I was recently carrying it, and I got spotted with it. I was at a classmate's. I was getting a haircut from a classmate that I went to school with in high school. She cuts hair for a living now, and normally, I guess with my clothes, it covers up pretty well. But although I still have issues with it, but with the short I was wearing, it kind of rode up a little bit. And she was like, "Austin, do you got a gun?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, cool. I feel safe now." She wasn't being sarcastic or anything. She was saying, "Hey, that's cool." But I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that she could tell that I had a gun on me. That's not something I want to advertise. And although I love this gun, I'm the most accurate with it. I'm more accurate with this gun. It has sufficient or significant stopping power. By the way, I'm carrying Hydroshocks. When was the last time you seen Hydroshocks in a box like this? This is an old box of Hydroshocks. I got them a long time ago for 13.35. 158 grain Hydroshocks. Yeah, it's an old box. Anyways, I didn't like the fact that she could tell that I had the gun on me. And usually, like if I'm just walking around shopping, it's not that big of an issue. I can carry it pretty concealed. But cutting my hair, or I'm getting in and out of chairs, I'm going into the little thing where they wash your hair, and it's just awkward. And she saw it. And so today I decided to carry my Fabrique Nationale 1905-1906, whatever you want to call it. This gun was patented a year after my great grandma was born, and it is loaded. And I'm gonna have to pick up that bullet some other time. But it's a 25 ACP, and it is the most convenient gun I have to carry. Or it's the most convenient gun I can carry at the moment. I want to get another pocket pistol that is a little bit more capable and stuff. Maybe a scandium frame, J frame, but I love this gun. It's an antique. It reminds me of my great grandmother, and it's illegal to import into the country now. At least I think it is, because it doesn't meet quite the specs on what you can import into the country. And I also like saying the name Fabrique Nationale. Makes me feel sophisticated. But this is what I'm carried today, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And there's a few guns I have in my to buy list. And I want to get a more pocketable gun. I'd like to get another Colt 1903 and something else I don't know quite yet. But yeah, so that's what I carry today. And I just want to say that I got spotted with this, and a little bit has to do with the grip. It will grab clothing a little bit. Although it's not very tacky, I do intend on changing these grips when I get the money. Next topic, vaping. What is the deal with the anti-vaping commercials? With these vaping commercials, one of the arguments is that vaping, cartridge has as much nicotine as 20 cigarettes. And my response is, so what's your point? As far as I know, and I'm not a doctor, nicotine is not the dangerous ingredient in cigarettes. That's the carcinogens. It's the rat poisons. It's the tar, the smoke that you're breathing in. Nicotine is purely the addictive quantity or addictive chemical that's in cigarettes or tobacco. In fact, you can buy tobacco gum, nicotine gum, nicotine patches, and they never complain about nicotine patches or nicotine gum being evil. But for some reason, having nicotine in a vape pen is bad. And you can buy e-juices with varying amount of nicotine, but my point is, nicotine is not the dangerous chemical in tobacco. So why are we hassling vapors for vaping nicotine? And I'll say that vapors are usually not as courteous as smokers, but I'd much rather be around someone who's vaping than someone who is smoking. I'd much rather my family to vape than to smoke. In fact, I bought my uncle a e-cigarette because I was trying to get him off of cigarettes. So my opinion is, don't hassle vapors because they're trying to quit smoking or trying to do something other than smoking. And this kind of goes into an argument that I had on organic cigarettes. Some people, there was this company that had organic cigarettes, and I think they got in trouble for advertising organic cigarettes. And they said, "No, you're making this sound like the safe cigarette." Well, I wouldn't say they're advertising a safe cigarette. They never advertised a safe cigarette. They advertised a safer cigarette. And there's a difference between safe and safer. And if you want to have a safer cigarette, then I'd say organic is better for you. But as long as we agree that safe and safer are two different things, and it's okay to have something that's safer, not necessarily safe, I think we can all be happy with that. And most of the anti-vaping literature that I've seen, the main bullet point is we don't know. And just because you do not know does not give you the right to label something as dangerous. I don't know many Japanese people, but I'm not going to label them as dangerous. So, that's my views on vaping. Nicotine is not the dangerous ingredient. I think its lethality rating is about the same as caffeine. You can get nicotine or caffeine in about the same dosage and it be dangerous, and it has kind of the same effect. Next topic, Muhammad and videos. Some of you may or may not know this, but I've been educating myself on Islam and been watching some apologetics based on Islam. I watched some Muslim apologetics and Christian apologetics that deal with Islam, and I just wanted to learn more about it because here in the West, our basic understanding of Islam is suicide bomb and 72 virgins, and I don't think that's right. If you're gonna disapprove of something, you should know a little bit about it. And we all hear that you're not supposed to draw pictures of Muhammad or have any images of Muhammad. But my question is, and I hear that you're not supposed to have any images of people, period. There's a story about Muhammad that Gabriel refused to go into his house because he had a dog and he had an image of a person in it. And my nose is kind of runny. Forgive me. So anyways, he's like, "Hey, Gabriel, why didn't you come in my house?" Gabriel being the angel. And he said, "Well, you have a dog, which are bad, and you have a picture of a person, which is bad." And my question is, if having an image, a picture, a painting, or a photograph of a person is bad, then why are all these Muslim scholars and Muslim debaters and stuff getting on camera? A video is nothing but a collection of still frames, and these still frames are moving, and that produces the illusion of movement. In fact, some of you may be too young to know this, but there was a thing called film, and film was nothing but an image repeated but moved slightly. And so when you move these images past a light source and projected it, it would have a moving image. But each individual or each frame of that image was a photo. So if having an image is bad, then why is having a video not bad? That's my question. I'm not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to Islam, but I hear that the reason that the Cognate company redesigned or rebranded the Duk knife to have a Muslim-friendly image on it because they're not supposed to have images of people on the weapons as decoration or anything like that. So I've watched a little bit of David Wood versus Muhammad Hijab. I think I pronounced that right, Muhammad Hijab. Their debate, which Muhammad Hijab was terrible. He was not a good debater at all. I mean, he controlled the crowd, but he didn't address the subjects. You know, at any given point, watching this on my phone, I can take a still picture of it, take a screenshot, and I'll have an image of it. So my question is to any of my Muslim friends, is a image of a person sin? And if so, what is in a video image sin, according to your religion? So that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know if I have any Muslim friends or viewers. Hopefully I didn't offend you. I don't agree with Islam, but I don't intend to be an a-hole to you. So, try to come from a stance of respect. Like I think we all should. I think we should be able to have a conversation without having knives to our throats. Next conversation or next topic: dogs. Dogs are awesome, unless you're Muslim. I hear that Muslims do not like dogs, again because of the whole Gabriel story. But my mother's long-haired miniature dachshund was very sick, and her whole stomach and intestines is inflamed, and she hasn't been eating, and she was getting very dehydrated. She's been in and out of the animal hospital, and we were able to get her home today. I went to the animal hospital with my parents to pick her up because I love Abby. She's almost like a sister to me because she's the baby to my parents, because they don't have grandchildren yet. And they love her, and I love her too. But she's been in and out of the hospital, been having to stay several days at the hospital, and she is now home. I'm thankful for that. That's one of the things I'm thankful for Thanksgiving, is that she's home, and she seems to be okay. She's having a little bit of issues, but she's well enough to be home at the time, and I'm thankful for that. Pets in general are awesome. We give them human names. We attribute human characteristics to them. We talk to them. At least I talk to my dogs. They're cool. I miss my dachshund Aisha. She is a very good dog, and she brought a lot of happiness to us, but she's no longer with us. And maybe someday I'll have another Aisha. Next talking point: Columbus. I've made a full video talking about the history behind it. Christopher Columbus, is he evil? And Christopher Columbus gets a lot of hate from the Native American community and people who don't know any better, who think they know history. And I see this on the internet, and I sometimes post comments on these videos. But I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of why Christopher Columbus is not evil. And this is my argument. He is no more evil than anybody else on the earth at that time. Times were different, laws were different, as far as crime and punishment, and um, he was not a warrior. Um, he wasn't a conquistador. He was a navigator, and um, I know I smack when I talk, and I apologize for that. Try not to do it. But the thing to remember is that comparatively to the people in the New World, and I'm going to use Mesoamericans as the measuring stick, although Christopher Columbus didn't encounter the Mesoamericans, that was Hernan Cortez. I don't know so much about the South Americans and the Caribbean islands, or Caribbean islands, but the Mesoamericans we know a good bit about, and they sacrificed hundreds, if not thousands, of people in a day for the sake of rain. And the Mayans, the Aztecs, and they did this. They did human sacrifice, and it was gruesome. It was evil, and you always hear about what Christopher Columbus did to the Native Americans and such, but you fail to realize that the native people into the New World, the Americas, were just as evil, if not more evil. And the big killer that killed the Native Americans, and when I say Native Americans, I'm referring to the Americas in general, and I'll talk about North American Native Americans here in a second. But the big killer was disease. And it really irritates me when Native Americans, native to North Americans, Native Americans, talk bad about Christopher Columbus, because Christopher Columbus had nothing to do with those people. Christopher Columbus never stepped foot in North America. And in fact, I would say that the Plains Indians owe their livelihood to Christopher Columbus. And he brought one of the greatest treasures that the Plains Indians valued, and that was the horse. The horse is not native to North America. The Spaniards, not Christopher Columbus, but the Spaniards released horses into the Americas. They populated. The Plains Indians loved them. So, yes, if you're a Native American and you talk crap about Christopher Columbus, just remember, he introduced the horse, he revolutionized how you hunted and traveled. Next talking point. Canio Alvarez. I got a picture of him. You might have saw this on Facebook. You might have saw this on Instagram. I went to a bar. I went to several bars last weekend, and the first night we went to a bar that we wanted to go to, and it was closed for whatever reason. They didn't give us a reason why it was closed, and we kind of bar hopped, and we ended up at this Mexican club, which I actually frequent this Mexican club on a pretty regular basis. And this was the first time in a long time that I went with my friend Daniel. My friend Daniel knows everybody. He knows, at least I claim that he knows all Mexicans, and they're usually his cousin. It's just a joke we have. If I'm riding with my friend Daniel, he'll point to Carl and he'll be like, "Hey, that's my cousin." And then like later he'll be talking to some Hispanic person. I'll be like, "Hey, is that your cousin?" It's just a joke we have. And I went to this Mexican club with my friend Daniel, and he was talking to two separate groups of people. One was two girls, and then one was some older men. And both of them, one of them told Daniel that I looked like Canlio Alvarez, and then the older Mexican man, he drank it quite a bit. He was pretty drunk, and you could smell it on him. And he told me himself that I looked like Canelo Alvarez. And I couldn't understand a lot of stuff. I can't hear people well in bars because, the loud music and stuff, or clubs. But this is what the guy looks like. He's like a much buffer version of me with a fuller beard, but we kind of have a similar hair color and style. And I got told by two different groups of people that I looked like him. So, interesting. He is Mexican, and I am not. Although he is white, keep in mind that Mexican Mexico is a country, not an ethnicity. So you can have Mexicans that are white, brown. You can technically have Mexicans that are black. Um, but because it's not an ethnicity, Mexican is technically not a race. It's a nationality. And um, but you get some Mexicans that have more Spaniard blood in them, and they tend to be lighter skin. I've come across this working in retail. You'll have some very white, pale people, and they'll speak in fluent Spanish, and then you go up to talk to them, and they have very broken English. And it's just they have more Spaniard blood than they do Indian blood. I'm going to use the term Indian. Hope you're not offended. I don't care. And even in Mexico City, you'll tend to find that the lighter-skinned Hispanics, it's my understanding, are generally better off than the Mexicans from the mountains and the more darker-skinned ones. That's what I hear. But anyways, I was told that I looked like that guy, and maybe if I get ripped and grow a full beard, I can pose as him and get free meals and give autographs. Next talking point. This is 21 minutes now. I'm trying to do 10 talking points, and my iPad locked out on me. Yes, the Cuba Libre. As you may know from this video and Facebook and Instagram, I posted, I hate it when bartenders don't know what a Cuba Libre is. And I'll elaborate on that more. But I went the first night. The bar that I wanted to go to was closed. The second night they were open, but they were completely dead. Me and my friend Daniel were the only two patrons in there. And we're like, well, this is no good. So we ended up at a honky tonk. And some of you may or may not know, I'm not a big fan of country music. I don't hate country music. I used to really love country music, but something happened in my life. A switch was flipped, and now I generally don't like country music. I like Waylon Jennings. I like a little bit of country pop. There's a few other songs I like. I just feel that I can't intellectually say that I like country music, but not George Strait. I'm sorry, I don't like George Strait or Randy Travis. And to me, it's kind of hard to say that you like country music and then say you don't like them. And I'm not a. I used to be a fan of Hank Williams Sr., but not so much anymore. But there's some country music I like, but in general, I don't like it. Anyways, I ended up at a honky tonk and went to the bartender. I told my friend Daniel, "Hey, I want you to go to the club with me. I want a drink. I need a designated driver." And I never drink with the intention of getting wasted or anything. In fact, I've never had a hangover. I don't know what a hangover feels like. Never happened. I've been drunk a couple times, but I've never had a hangover. Anyways, I was like, I want you to drive for me because I know I'm going to be drinking a little bit more than normal. And I went to the bartender. I was like, "Hey, I'd like a Cuba Libre." He's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd like a Cuba Libre." He's like, "I don't know what you're asking me." And I said, "Do you have rum and coke?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Just put a lime in it, and that's a Cuba Libre." He's like, "Wow, I've never heard it called that before." And believe it or not, this is like the third time I went to a bartender and asked for a Cuba Libre, and they had no clue what I was talking about. It irritates me. It's like going to a bartender and saying, "Hey, I want a martini." "What's a martini?" Are you joking? It's like going to a bartender and saying, "Hey, I want a screwdriver or a margarita," and them not knowing what you're talking about. It's a classic drink. It's an old drink. It was invented around Cuba's liberation. Cuba Libre, Cuba liberated, free Cuba. So it's a classic drink. It's a very common drink. I guess it's not the young hip drink. It's not like medicinal marijuana or bong water or cinnamon toast crunch. I don't know a lot of the other drinks that are popular with the younger crowd, because when I look at mixology books, there are like the common, go-to drinks. I sometimes read mixology books, so I don't know about a lot of the newer drinks. So what I go with, a Cuba Libre is what I like. It's simple. Um, it's three ingredients: Coke, rum, and lime. Um, and I've taught three different bartenders how to make it. I mean, and some people say, why don't you just call it a rum and coke and lime? Well, you don't go to a bartender and say, I want vodka and orange juice. You say, I want a screwdriver. It's what it's called. It's the proper name. That's my little rant on that. Next topic, anniversary of Rec. Today is Wednesday, 2018, November, and this is the 1 year anniversary of my really bad wreck. I was going to Beaumont to go to Twin Peaks, and I never made it because I was. The speed limit was 70 miles per hour. The legal speed limit was 70 miles per hour. And there was a guy passing like 5 vehicles at a time, going fast enough to pass vehicles going 70 miles per hour. And oncoming traffic wrong way to me, so I was forced to make a decision. And my decision included me slamming on my brakes and running off the road, causing me to T-bone a family. And I'm not thankful that that family's Thanksgiving was ruined. They possibly spent it in the hospital because one of them had to be life flighted to Galveston. Luckily, no one died. But it was a terrible experience. And I am thankful that we all survived it. I am irritated that, as far as I know, that guy never got caught because I don't think the law enforcement made it a big priority. But, anyways, I had a really bad wreck. Got to drive a Camaro for a few weeks, which was an interesting experience. Don't ever want to own one, but it was fun. But there was a lot of blind spots in there. That's something that irritates me about Camaros. But they're fun. It was cool to pretend that I was rich for a little bit. But I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm thankful that my mom's dachshund is alive, and that we get to celebrate Thanksgiving together. Yeah, anniversary of my wreck. No, I did not travel the day before Thanksgiving this year because I figured probably not a good idea considering last year it didn't turn out too well. Next topic, Duolingo. Where's my phone? Far as I know, I think I remember correctly, I have 500 4-day streak. Duolingo is a language learning app, and I have 504-day streak, which means I have done Duolingo. I've done my minimum amount of lessons for 504 days. And I don't feel fluent. I don't consider myself fluent. I'm definitely more fluent than the average American, if that American is not bilingual. But in Texas, everybody's bilingual to a small extent. Everybody knows a little bit of Spanish, whether they know it or not. But I've taken it upon myself to learn Spanish for a couple of reasons. A girl was involved. I'm going to admit that. But also, I have a lot of Hispanic friends. Daniel being my brother from a Latina mother. So I want to learn Spanish. I want to be bilingual. I want to improve my knowledge, and I've also had a very good experience with Russian. I had a very cool experience speaking Russian to a Russian girl. And I'm not fluent in Russian either, but I'm focusing on Spanish because that is the most common language that I've came across. Spanish, Chinese, and Russian has been the two most common languages I've came across in Texas. Believe it or not, I've came across several Russians. But Russian and, of course, Chinese restaurants. Usually the Chinese restaurants are a mom and pop store or business. So, yeah, I'm learning Spanish, and I've been on it. I've been doing it for several years now, or at least a few years. but this is the longest streak I've had without missing a day of lessons, and I'm proud of that. And if you were to ask me to conversate with a Hispanic person, I would struggle. I know a lot. I know that I know more than I know. I can't like just have a conversation, but if you jog my memory, I do know more than I realize that I know. If that makes sense. In fact, I listen to a lot of reggaeton music, and every now and then I pick up what the reggaeton music is saying. When I'm with my friend Daniel, if he has some Hispanic music on, whether it's reggaeton, salsa, bachata, he'll point at the title of the song on the radio, and he'll say, "What does that say?" Isla Verde, Green Island. I was like, "Yeah." And if we're at a restaurant, we have a Hispanic waiter or waitress. He'll be like, "Austin, you need to talk Spanish to that woman." I was like, "Okay, I'll try." And so it's something that I'm working on. I don't speak Spanish a lot in real life because a lot of times when I'm hanging out with my friend Daniel, I want to hang out with my friend Daniel. Although I remember one time I went to a family function of his, and his sister was talking to his mother. I was like, "Yeah, he's learning Spanish," and this was very early in my Spanish learning career. And she goes, "Oh, say something," and she goes, "But don't say hola, como está." And I was like, Daniel. So if you put me on the spot, I'll probably struggle. But going through my lessons, listening to music, I know more than I realize that I know, if that makes any sense. And I define fluent, like if I was going to call myself fluent, like I consider myself fluent in English, even though I'm not the best English speaker. But I consider myself fluent in English because if you were to ask me, hey, or if I were to ask, hey, what does antithesis mean? Antithesis is one of my favorite words, along with plethora and others. But if I was to ask someone, what does antithesis mean? In that same language I'm speaking, they can say, well, antithesis means anti, or the opposite of something. So if you say you're the antithesis of evil, you're saying you're the opposite of evil. Now, for me to consider myself fluent in Spanish, I need to be able to ask, I'm going to use this for example, what does hola mean? And they would need to explain what hola means in Spanish, and me understand what they're saying in Spanish to explain what hola means in order for me to consider myself fluent in Spanish. And I'm not at that point yet. So I'm not fluent in Spanish, barely fluent in English, I guess you can say, but I consider myself fluent. Next talking point, chloris. Where is my chloris flashlight? There it is. This was my preferred tactical flashlight for a while. It's a Chloris XT2CR, and it's a very bright flashlight. I can't remember how many lumens. I think it's like 1200 lumens or something like that. But the problem, I don't know if this got programmed in my pocket or if it just broke on me. I think it just broke on me. But now when I press the mode button, I don't get strobe. And when I press the on button or the on button, the mode button doesn't do anything. So this is a problem. I want a tactical flashlight. I want to be able to draw my flashlight strobe and when necessary to strike with. And I tried taking the well, it looks like the mode button was working now, but it's not strobing. And so I want strobe first, and if I need to use it as a searchlight, then I'll take it to the next mode. But it broke on me. It's not working. It's useless as a tactical flashlight, and I have no clue how to fix it, if it is fixable. I guess I need to contact Chloris. But right now, when I'm going out at night, I'm using my 4.7's Cork 123 lithium squared. It's 500 lumens, I think. And it has no lens. The lens broke out of it, but it's still working. It's still functioning as intended. And it's a shame. I was very proud of this flashlight. I was very happy with it for a short amount of time. and now it's pretty much useless. And let's see, that's 10 talking points. That was the whole point of this video, is to have 10 rapid fire talking points, talk about them, explain to you some of my thoughts, what's going on in my life, what I'm thinking, and that's it. I'm very happy with this gun. Very happy with this gun. It has really no sights on it, which is something that I'm not too happy with. It has a groove, but you can't really see the groove. But it's a back off, get off me gun. I think it'll suffice. But I definitely want to change the grips out on this to something smoother. I definitely want to get a Colt 1903. I want to get a Ruger Old Army revolver. I would like to get a Smith & Wesson 686 Plus, maybe a J-frame and Scandium, and what else? I need to save money. But it's difficult. It's difficult to save money when you're a YouTube knife reviewer, gear reviewer, anytime where you're introducing products to the YouTube community. So that's why I try to do more of these vlog style videos. I'm not very consistent on doing vlog style videos, but they're cheap. Some people enjoy them, but I'm trying to save money and trying to continue the YouTube thing. It's not a combination that mixes too well, but I guess that's it. I've said my piece. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. By the way, there's one more topic I want to point out. I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram. On my Facebook, I get in and out of moods where I decide if I want to accept friends from strangers, i.e. people I can't physically touch. Those people on YouTube that I might want to be friends with. Then I get people that I don't recognize, and I think they know me from YouTube, but I don't know if I want to be friends with them. And don't take it offensively. It's just that depending on my mood, I might feel like being friendly to people that I don't potentially know, or I might not feel friendly towards people that I potentially know. And I haven't decided what way I want to move. But on Instagram, everybody's welcome to my Instagram, and I'd encourage you to look at it. It's Austin Kerbertson H5, and so that's it. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.